Hi friends. This is not always an easy thing to talk about. Conflict is so important for growth, and it also requires, a slice of humble pie. One of the greatest conflicts that I would say I've experienced on our board has centered on governance. And I want to pause right there and talk about what governance means, because it's about leadership, but there are different types of leadership. There's the leadership that gets things done, and there's the leadership that sets the vision, that is more focused on the big picture. And that's what we're elected to do. That is what you ask me to do when you vote for me and for my colleagues, is the type of leadership that sets the vision. And that's what I mean by governance. So school boards are among the most powerful forces in shaping public education, but without structure, they can become reactive or overly influenced by adult-centered priorities. We see this in a lot of other districts. A distracted school board that isn't focused on that long-range vision. Effective governance models that are out there, they provide essential structure, they define roles, they define responsibilities, they talk about systems of accountability so that decisions truly serve our students. When I joined our school board in 2022, it was a time when community trust was really low and concerns were clear. It felt like too many decisions were being made behind closed doors. So rebuilding that trust was my top priority. Guided by our board policy and the principles of good governance, I began doing things like moving items out of our consent agenda to ensure that ideas were openly discussed before votes were cast. And that is consistent with our policy. But it was also a departure from how our board often operated. In my nearly now 30 years of leadership, I have seen how meetings can either reinforce credibility or they can undermine it. And meetings can be the most effective as a genuine forum for discussion. When they are a formality, it leaves an impression that outcomes and decisions are predetermined. And for me, what ended up happening was this misalignment between the way we practice and the way that we are allowed to make decisions, is that it created some friction. So I would say I first tried to resolve this through one-on-one conversations. Ultimately, I ended up requesting a facilitated team discussion at our retreat. And that actually proved to be really productive, because what we learned through that experience was that all the other board members and our district leadership, our administrators, had all worked together for decades. It was like a minimum of 20 years. Everyone except for me. I was newer, and I brought a different governance lens. And I also learned that members were less comfortable with policy and advocacy roles that I think are so central to school board roles. So with this new understanding, I would say I adjusted my approach to find alternative ways to ensure the transparency that I knew was critical, the accountability piece that was also part of our role, but adjusting it in a way that respected each of the members' comfort level, because we were all at different levels. Ultimately, I would say this conflict helped us grow. For me, it meant creating systems that allowed every voice to be heard and valued. The experience also reminded me how, when we work together, it's just as important to hear each other as it is to come to a decision. Oftentimes, consensus has meant that we just go with what the majority wants, but really it's about making sure that the voices are heard and that they're respected in a way that they are included in the decision making, not just silenced or outvoted. And we can move forward by recognizing and respecting that each of us has different limits.